Three, in two, and in one. So this is the first Privateer podcast, which will be a name under discussion until we think of a better one. I am Adam, joined here with Oliver. We are, I suppose, the founders is the right word to use of Privateer Gaming, and we thought we would commit and start doing a podcast, not us each week, but us some of the time, kind of to explain what's going on. I think the first one will just be that, sort of who we are, what have we done so far, and where we're going.
And why, I guess, as well.
And why, yes, the biggest question of all, and why. I'll start off by explaining what we're doing here, and then you can jump in and add anything I miss out. Privateer Gaming hopefully is going to be the UK's premier esports brand in about 15 to 20 years time. For now it is going to just be a itty bitty little bedroom org, which is only in a couple of games at the minute, but baby steps. We're hoping to, in years to come, run tournaments in the UK, have some physical locations to bring up new UK esports talent in terms of players, coaches, casters. Really want to be in all aspects of esports, really, and hopefully we can utilise our current careers to kind of expand into running some sort of after schools program, sort of in the realms of what after school football coaches do when they come into schools. That's kind of where we're going, isn't it? I didn't leave it.
Yeah, that's our jumping off point for sure. Yeah, the one thing I'd say is let's manifest it. No hopefully needed. It's going to be there. That's the direction. We're moving already. And we've picked up some steam already, actually. Like, I'm surprised at how quickly it's gone, to be honest. I mean, we've been doing this, 4 weeks? Something like that?
Yeah, it's kind of run. I honestly, that's where I was going to start with, to be honest. I mean, it's kind of run. It almost ran away from us, really. It almost ran away from me anyway. I thought it was going very, very quickly. So do you want to run down what has actually sort of happened in these 4 weeks?
Yeah, I think if you don't mind, I'll take it right back to how this idea came about, because I've been asked that by 3 people now, and I think it's an interesting one. So we were sitting watching Cologne. Was that 2 years ago?
Yes, or was it Blast or Cologne? Can't remember.
No, it was definitely Cologne. And then because Cologne was first.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure. And then we
right.
kind of built on it a little bit at Blast. So we were sitting watching Cologne, and basically, at least I was pointing out, oh, I don't think they've done this very well. Oh, I don't think they've done that very well. Why am I getting blinded by these lights? And just all the small things that,
Yeah.
And then you shot some of those down as, nah, to be fair, that's just, that's reasonable. and then there were others where you were like, actually, I think that's kind of right. And then you added some on, and then you were like, oh, I could have done this better. They could have done this better. And of course, sadly, it's impossible for us to jump into the deep end immediately hosting. What, $1 million tournament was that?
Yeah, that's IEM Cologne. For anyone who's not in CS, that's one of the premier S tier events. So big business. ESL run it every year.
Yeah, big money. It's a little bit cozier, still big to be fair. The Black was Blast London, I think, in Wembley Ovo. And that was good. That was a blast. But
no pun intended.
Absolutely intended. Yeah, there was a few more things we thought, why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? And I'm sure there's some of it which has valid reasons, but also just there was a lot that was sort of left wanting, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
From both of those events, and I think we've both been to a few others independently, and we both sort of felt the same. There's a few rooms or areas to improve on, and it was either, if every event I go to, it feels like it's either hosted from a traditional sports perspective, or it's hosted from a esports online only almost sort of perspective. It doesn't feel like anybody's really reached that good middle ground where it feels like you've got that full crossover. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it was more so at Blast London. I felt were lacking in a lot of ways, and it was more. I think it was mostly to do with the brief that was given to the venue. I feel like the Lanxess has hosted Cologne a lot. It felt like they knew what was happening. They knew what was coming their way, but Wembley, it was. Don't get me wrong, I loved the event, but it didn't feel like an esports event. It kind of felt like a school assembly. It felt like we were going in, we were taking our seats and we were going to sit quietly and watch, enjoy what was on the screen, and that was kind of it. There's no kind of atmosphere outside it, and there's not lots of atmosphere in and around Cologne. People do. I mean, I love Cologne. It's the best event I've been to, but there's not really like the festival atmosphere that you get at traditional sports. Until you get
outside
into
of the fan
games.
club sections.
Yeah, I mean, until you get actually into the games and into the arena, it's really good in there, but just that bit outside's a bit lacking, I think. And
that big donut on the outside with all the stairs hitting was a bit left wanting.
And even like they had I don't know. There's just things that are lacking there. And I remember us walking around. We were just walking around London one day, and I think we branched off away from just the event and started saying, well, generally, actually, UK esports is missing lots of things that other countries
quite a bit.
Missing loads of things, and loads of things that we've got in abundance in traditional sports. So I suppose it was really that conversation, I think, for me. I mean, yes, the events is where it started, but when we were walking around just talking about things we could do and how easily it could actually be improved, I think that's where I got the idea really hooked for me. But that was quite a while ago. It's only recently that we've started.
Yeah, we sort of took a year hiatus really because we had other stuff going on. And I think we're quite a good mix of people to sort of see a few sides of it, because we've kind of come from traditional sports and esports together, whereas I feel like there's quite a few that sort of come from just traditional sports, and also quite a few that just come from esports, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think we definitely play off each other well in that sense. You've got more the traditional sports background, and then I've got the more esports focused background, which is useful. It means that we can find that nice hybrid mix that we're talking about. So in the last 4 weeks, we've done lots of WhatsApp calls, trying, and lots of ideas, throwing ideas around, and some of them have stuck. So at this stage, we have got 1.5 Counter-Strike 2 teams and one pretty good Smash Melee player. That is
up and coming.
That is what we've got. We've got one guy who's hopefully going to make it onto the top 10 in Ireland this year in Melee. And then for CS, we've got Privateer Gaming are currently sitting 6-1 in ESEA entry, aren't they?
Yep, I can tell you the actual ranking for that, but
it's 9th, I think.
Yeah, it's quite high.
If I'm not mistaken, it's 9th. And then we have another team that's currently building. It's kind of 2 out of 5 players at the moment.
They are indeed 9th.
And we've been quite lucky to get good teams. I mean, the reason we've got good teams is we've made good offers. Players are not salaried, but there is, for an amateur level, there is significant financial incentive. Even though it's not a salary, they do get quite a bit. So we've been very lucky that we've managed to get some great teams, some great people to play for us early doors. So it's just interested, because it's gone so quickly, I have sort of 2 questions for you. Overall, have you found it easier to do this than you expected?
That's a good question. In some ways yes, and in some ways no. So the thing that I found a lot easier than I thought it would be is actually getting people interested, especially on the CS side. And I know we had different like sort of different levels of that going in, and you were 100% correct in terms of the interest we'd get.
Yeah.
But that again, that's me coming from a traditional sports background, I think, where I'm actually kind of shocked in some ways that people are willing to, I guess, willing to go out of their way a little bit to find something slightly new. Where certainly not all of the people we've applied for are individual players looking for teams. Some of them are in fact part of other teams already and things like that. But yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, we've had probably nearly 30 people total apply now for various roles on various teams, and almost all of them have been a very high level as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I knew we'd get a lot of interest. I didn't quite realise how many, top level players we would get, but I have overall, because it's moved very quickly, I think it has been easier than I initially anticipated. Just to get everything set up. But what's been the most difficult thing, the biggest challenge so far, you think? And I might lead this one.
Yeah, go for it.
I thought was the biggest. It's definitely trying to understand games that you've not played. For me, like, looking back through, I already knew our Smash player. I've known him. We both know him really well, so it was an easy pickup. But trying to understand that scene and that game has been really difficult.
Yeah. watching the first tournament was funny, because it was like, yeah, he won, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's like, what is going on here? I mean, it's and then making offers to people, and then they're very suspicious of you because they don't know you, and it's a game that has a lot closer. It's a much closer knit scene than Counter-Strike, for example, which is very open and everybody can take offers from everybody. Trying to understand some of the other games as well. I mean, looking at Dota 2 and thinking, what is going on here? How do you support players in Dota 2? That's the biggest challenge for me. What do you think has been the toughest thing?
I think for me it's all the small bits. It's like none of the big tasks have really been too challenging, but then it's like one guy just needs this link, or you need to get that one thing from someone, or just changing color of logos, but I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time and they need it for this sort of just the always on kind of constant go of how it's been run has been probably the biggest challenge, and just making sure like everything's set up, nothing's forgotten about, everything's going the right pace, not too quickly on some things. I think that's what I would say that probably the biggest challenge of that is.
Yeah, it probably takes it probably has taken up more of, or has required more of my time than I initially anticipated, just because of the nature of how quickly it moved. Yeah. Which is both good and bad in some ways, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, going in, I probably would have said I would have been reasonably happy if we were at this point in 2 to 3 months. Yeah,
me too. Me too, actually. I'm surprised.
But I do think we've done well at jumping on some opportunities we've had.
Yeah, well, we definitely we got very lucky with our team. They sort of came as their captain applied to join us, and then he said, well, look, I've got a full team that's playing together really well, so can we all join? And that was up to us to jump on that and say absolutely, have those conversations and get those people in. So where do you think, if you can even try to predict what our next 4, 8, 12 weeks are going to look like with this, where do you think we're going to be next time we do one of these?
Right, I'm gonna break down 4 weeks, 8 weeks, and then 12 weeks.
Okay.
So 4 weeks. I think the next 4 weeks is about stabilization for us.
Yeah.
The main team, like the main CS team that we have together already, we know what they're up to. We need to get a couple more sort of bits of streaming in place, flesh that out a little bit, but most of it's set up and sort of sorted.
Yeah.
Our Smash player, I think we're in a reasonable spot. As again, a couple bits we could do around the edges and just start moving on some things a little bit. But again, it's more that kind of let's stabilize, see how things turn out sort of level. And then with our partial CS team, I think it's a case of let's see who we can find to round this out that fits really well together. And I don't know if we'll be at that point in 4 weeks. We might be, but I would thought we're certainly very close. Maybe we're lacking one, or we've got a couple options or something like that. In terms of 8 weeks, I think the next 4 weeks is going to be like stabilization. I think the 4 weeks after that is going to be a little bit of a more of like a build. So rather than jumping all over the place in terms of let's do this thing, that thing, the other thing, get this set up, sort this logo, sort that, upload the other, like all these little bitty things, I think it's going to be a little bit more, let's get the streams running, improve the quality a little bit, let's get some clips out there, let's get some media sorted, let's get some socials moving. And I think it's going to be those 4 weeks is going to be more of like a build into that, a little bit more of a build into the sort of creation side of it. And then I think the 4 weeks after that, so that would be like between 9 and 12 weeks time, I think that's going to be a little bit more kind of forwards planning almost. Would it be playoffs at that point? I think nearly, won't it?
Playoffs will be done.
Oh, will it be over?
Yeah.
So then we'll be looking forward to next season then for both our teams. And I think for our Smash player at that point as well, we'll have sort of known sort of what level we're working with a little bit more. And again, hopefully at that point we'll have some level of clips in place, some level of socials and streams in place. We'll be in our routines a little bit, and then thinking towards both the next seasons for each of our players, but then also where we want to expand to next.
That's interesting. I have mostly similar but little differences. I think 4 weeks, the main thing is the Privateer gaming team and playoffs and seeing where they finish up. I agree with you there. Getting the stream set up and streaming their playoff run is very important. Hopefully in 4, maybe 8 weeks, having the Privateers, our second CS team, set up. And just to stress, they're not like a second team like an academy team. It's a second team that will also be competing in the same sort of circuit. Whether they're in the same league as as each other is yet to be seen. But they're both good players, or both good sets of players. So it's not like one is a junior to the other. So I think next 4 weeks is getting them tightened up. The 4 weeks after that will be trying to figure out what to do with Smash, I think, and how we're going to utilize and capitalize on that, because I think we have a good idea of what we're going to do with CS, but Smash is trickier. And then that 9 to 12 weeks, I think, like you say, forward planning. I think I'd be looking to our next game to expand into possible options. I'm kind of researching and debating around at the moment are Rocket League as the front runner. Gonna look at Call of Duty again. And I might look at Dota, although I don't really know if I have the brain space for Dota. It's so far away from anything that we've got or have done, so I might steer clear of it. But yeah, that's where I kind of think we'll be. I'd say in the next 3 months by the end of the next 3 months we'll have another game that we're in, I would imagine, and hopefully 2 fully fleshed out and competing CS teams.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be very good. I think that's very reasonable though.
I think it's doable, especially considering how quick we've been so far.
Yeah.
I think it is very doable. So I suppose the only thing we haven't touched on, well, we kind of touched on how the whole idea came around and sort of the backstory to that. But why is it that you would want to do this project? Because it is quite a lot of work already, even. Why do you think it's worth doing?
That's an interesting question. So I think there's kind of 2 sides to that a little bit. I think the first side is why I want to do it, and then I think the second side is why I think it's worth doing it.
Yeah.
So why I want to do it? Well, I'm interested in sports as a whole, esports as well, in terms of the management side. I think that that's an area that is in some ways quite difficult to get into, and this kind of gives me an avenue to get at least somewhat towards that. I also think it's a scene that has a lot of potential, I would say, especially the UK scene with how attentive and consistently engaged some of the sports fans are here. I think that there's an untapped market and an untapped potential to boost esports to sort of another level. And obviously that's not going to be a short-term thing, that's super long-term, but does sound a little bit big-headed as well, I feel like saying that maybe, but I definitely think there is. And then on the other side of things, yeah, I guess I kind of answered both in some ways there, but I definitely feel like it's worth doing because there's players here that can rise to that next level, at least in terms of whether it be fans of events or actual playing at those events. And then I just think for me that it's something that I'm very interested in and sort of want to push forwards in some way. And obviously it's difficult to get a job as a manager straight off the bat in traditional sports, but in esports it's, you know, the barrier to entry is slightly lower, and I think that it's something that suits both mine and your skill sets.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. I think I'm in it for a lot of the same reasons. I think for me, I suppose the selfish motivation for me is that the current career I'm in, I love, but don't want to do for I already know I don't want to do it for the rest of my working life.
I can echo that.
So it would be nice. It allows me the space to set this up, and hopefully this is something I could walk into amongst other things later on. If it goes where we want it to be, which I think it will, you know, when it gets to the stage we want it to be at, we will both be required to be there full time, to manage what we have planned. So that's the selfish motivation. And then why is it, you know, why it's worth it for the scene? Well, I think the UK has some great grassroots activity in some sports. Like football has got great grassroots, but not
rugby.
And yeah, I don't know about rugby. I've never played it, but it seems
around here there is for sure.
It seems to have a good, well-established cricket as well. I mean, there's a good amount of sport in the UK. People are very sporty here, but esports just hasn't quite. It just hasn't been pitched the right way, I don't think, or set up in the right way for people here. I don't think it's nearly social enough, and it's not tied into the people's locality. A big thing with the UK is having things tied in with your town or your county or your city. So I think once that's gotten right,
it's not been pitched as being social either, has it? Like,
no.
It can be a very social event. I mean, in some ways, there's nothing more social than, you know, having a LAN with 5 mates or however many there is. You know, getting around a game console and playing Smash. But esports isn't really pitched as that social side. Everybody coming together to, you know, play a tournament and get behind each other. It's pitched as more just a sort of thing you do on your own against somebody else who's the other side of the world, it feels like.
Yeah, and I 100% blame people in esports for that. You know, this idea that, I mean, loads of people say you only need to look online and you know, see like YouTube shorts and things. Gamers and people in esports portray themselves as these, you know, social introverts who are just gremlins who can't, you know, operate in the outside world, and that doesn't really suit most people in the UK. You know, that
it shouldn't either.
No, and neither it should. So I think changing the narrative on esports and what it means to be a person in esports is very important to what we want to do. We want to make it clear that You can operate, act, and treat esports like you can a traditional sport, which a lot of people say but don't embody.
Yeah. And often it's the same people that say it and then don't follow it through.
Exactly. So that's why it's worth doing. The UK deserves to have a chance at having really, really top level esports players. Just like every other country deserves that chance. And it just needs to be pitched correctly, because there's some fantastic people in UK esports already. There's some fantastic things going on, but there's not nearly enough of it. So
yeah, it's not given the space to thrive, I would say.
No, and it's not where it should be, but it will be.
When we're done with it.
When we're done with it, and it's part of our Death Star of UK esports. Then it'll be good. Then it'll be good.
That'd be a good title, to be fair, for this episode.
Yeah, building the Death Star.
Yeah.
Do you know, this is I think this is just the most arrogant. This is probably everything that's wrong with UK esports is in this podcast. 26 minutes of the two most arrogant people in Britain saying that they can do everything that nobody else does. But I think you need a certain level of. I'm making it worse. I'm saying you need a certain level. But yeah, we'll maybe quit while we're ahead. We managed to get 20 minutes without saying anything obscene, and then
yeah.
But yeah, well, thank you for joining me. We'll
no problem.
We'll not do one next week. We'll get somebody else to do it next week. Maybe get some of the players to do it. Huh?
I think that's a good idea.
Meet the players, give them a list of questions. Manage to pilfer off some of our work to others. That's what true managers do.
That is what true managers do.
Alright, mate. Thanks for joining me. See you later.
Take care.